All right.
Hello. Welcome to the Xirtus.
Synctank.
Okay, we're gonna start this and end this with the same thing, but just really quickly, I wanted to start by saying if you guys are watching this, then when this is done, there's a music thing we're gonna listen to together. So if you guys remember, I did a conversation with Nehedar on the Synchromistic Secrets of Zion, Illinois. It was a pretty good episode. She did a whole presentation. It was pretty sweet. And Nehedar's actually got some music ready. So just prepare for the free Bandcamp listening party, which is happening right after Synctank today. And I'll give you the links again at the end, but we go, wait, music.nehedar. I did it. Oh, see, this is why you need me, to make sure you don't make the same mistakes that I already made. Let's try that again. All right. Yeah. So this is where you're going to go right afterwards, and you can listen to Liminal World. You might notice there's a aesthetic trend going on that we're all
Oh, what are you pushing here? Damn, the agenda starts already.
dude. Yeah, we're cutting the
And you brought that up at exactly 2:37. I just have to point that out.
Beautiful. Yes. Well, all right. Well, how are you both doing this evening, gentlemen?
I mean,
Fine, sir.
as long as there's not a war going on anywhere, I'm in a good mood.
Dude,
Yeah.
I also slept in, so I haven't checked like the news or anything.
You haven't checked to see how close it's getting to home.
I assume we're doing fine.
Ayatollah, the third Ayatollah, has been replaced by Jim Carrey now, and then Jim Carrey had to be replaced by Ayatollah. So it's like,
So what happens to Biden? Can Jim Carrey do both at the same time?
No, because he's Biden now, and Biden had to be replaced by I forget. There's someone from the SPCA. I think the next one that we need to get replaced is Seth Green, right? Once they replace, do you see this whole thing with Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
Clone.
Can I just point out that, like, on the surface of this, if you say it like out loud, it kind of sounds ridiculous. Like, you're like, did you hear that Jim Carrey showed up and he looks different and he sounds different? He was known as the face. Like, it's just like, it's like, just to say that, you're like, if you were to just tell somebody about this, it just sounds like you're crazy, because it's like, well, yeah, it's Jim Carrey. Does he ever look the same? And what's weird too is that I saw somebody shared something from, I think it was February 18th, and he looks nothing like he looks at this award ceremony, meaning that whatever shifted for Jim Carrey's face happened in such a short time. That's why I was like, is it a filter? Like, do we have other footage of him where he still looks like this? I'm not really sure.
I mean, it's one thing if you get plastic surgery, right? It's another thing if your eyes change color. He's got these gray eyes now, even if they're wearing contacts.
They look the same to me. I don't know if I see that. I don't know if I see the eye color difference. Do you? Is this a gold versus blue dress right now or something? Or I'm not really sure.
Also, I want to ask too.
Those dark, really distinguishable eyes that were well profiled in
Right,
any.
but if it's like Paul is dead, start taking a bunch of pictures. You got to cross-examine more than a couple, because like here you got the shadows, could be the light, the filter of the camera. You don't know what's going
This
on.
is Glenn Maxwell over here on the right, I think.
But this happened right after the government said they're going to stop using Anthropic and they're going to switch to OpenAI. So what we're seeing might just be the slight nuances between the different AI models in which are being used to create this content to begin with.
Well, there was always a conspiracy theory about Jim Carrey killing men, right, in a field. Isn't that the whole thing? Murdered.
Oh, you're thinking of Bill Clinton. That was what was exposed by Norm Macdonald on The View in the 90s.
Let's move on. Let's not talk about that, David.
I'm not going to be invited back on this show.
There was a thing, obviously, where he went and started yelling, about the Illuminati on Jimmy Fallon and saying that, this is the symbol of the Illuminati, is the rimming mouth thing, right? The tongue sticking out of the triangle, and said, like, you're a part of the Illuminati, and like we're paid to distract you from the Illuminati. It's all just a big game to distract you. There was the Isaac Cappy thing where Isaac Cappy talked about being on a phone call with Jim Carrey for 5 hours, and that he was worried about what was going on with his, like, they were going to catch him or that he was getting in trouble. And then there's the whole thing about he ad-libbed in Larry the Cable Guy, a terrible movie where he got his big break. I mean, he existed before that.
The Cable Guy, not Larry the Cable Guy.
Wow, you're right. Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
The Cable Guy.
Is Jim Carrey the plumber? What's happening here?
Yeah, no, but Larry the Cable Guy is another character. I'm sorry, but yeah, who's also not really like that Southern either. But Larry the Cable Guy is not the thing here. Jim Carrey, the Cable Guy, he talks about killing a guy in a field, and then there's this whole story about Jim Carrey allegedly murdering someone in Hollywood in the early 90s or late 80s, right? So
this is news to me. I never heard.
I never heard this either.
Allegedly murdered somebody.
Yeah, and anything that came out with Jim Carrey, I wonder the proximity to his girlfriend, who was put through the ringer with Scientology, purification, sweat lodges, and fasts. I wonder, after he apparently came out and accused Scientology of that, at least to reporters or something, that ever since then it seemed like he's been like kind of having to navigate the thin ice of being scapegoated in crazy ways of slander.
Charles Rocket, who is in UHF, and he's the villain in Dumb and Dumber. He's a as far as I could tell, like a well-liked good guy, right? Well, he was found murdered with his throat slit in a field, right? And the conspiracy theory at the time was that Jim Carrey was involved with this. So Jim Carrey auditioned for Saturday Night Live, and he was dropped in favor of Charles Rocket. Charles Rocket, the victim in Dumb and Dumber, was found dead in a field near his home with his throat cut. His death was ruled as a suicide, which is just hard to believe. In Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey improvised the line, "They catch him a half mile down the road," and slit his throat. Jim Carrey's other victims, allegedly, Carathona White, Jonathan Brandis, Chris Benoit. Those are just some Benoit, whatever. Those are some of the people that conspiracy theorists have alleged in
these are some of the people murdered by Scientology that have been attributed to Jim Carrey. I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Wait, hold on. Is that in jest? Is there any connection between Scientology and Jim Carrey?
Yeah, his wife, I think it was his wife or girlfriend, who died. When initially, right after she died, for like a couple days, there was multiple articles from multiple outlets explaining how she was doing a super intensive thing that they do in Scientology for purification. But with her, normally somebody goes and they do this thing and then they move on. But with his partner, they kept her doing it over and over and over and over again, and it looks like her body just gave out. And so after this happened, like I say, there was all these articles, and then within a couple days they were all scrubbed. So like I tried to search for them again and they were just all gone, and they were like some pretty big outlets. And so I'm just like, wow, it looks to me as a outside observer that Scientology has the ability to like just like squash a story if it doesn't reflect well upon them. And then it was right after that all this stuff came out with Jim Carrey accusing like here's his email exchange or message exchange where he's talking about an STD, and or she's talking about an STD that he gave her in her view, and he's denying it or whatever. It looked to me that it was like, okay, now we got to slander Jim Carrey because this is coming out. It might not be necessarily that Jim Carrey told them. It could just be like, this is where it just after her death, it immediately led. It's like, well, what was she doing at the time? And she was doing this very rigorous sweat lodge fast thing. And so, I've questioned whether or not, whoops, Scientology pushed her too far. She died. And now Jim Carrey has to become a dissident or whatever they call it,
Do you know if Dianetics can cure STDs?
Bill Gates did a study on that, and I don't know if it actually worked out as well.
Did you just say Bill Gates did a study on that? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
You're so quick, Andreas. I was about to say, I don't know, ask Bill Gates, but yeah, okay. Sorry, with those Russians.
But does going clear, can that cure STDs?
I would hope. Yeah, I think theoretically that's the goal. I'm not sure if it's, how successful that is, but what about going clear of money, right? Because he gave a third or something? It couldn't be a third, but some huge amount of his wealth, $51 billion from his $175 billion to now he's only $124 billion poor, but he gave $51 billion away in the week surrounding his Epstein disclosures. Such a generous man. Do you think that we're getting, I've been saying, I think Microsoft going through these Windows crashes and everything is like a hazing ritual, like some sort of humiliation ritual. Are they taking, is the money not his and he's just a front for the money and they're taking his money away? Is that kind of the thing here? Or what do you think is going on? Like to give away $51 billion the same week to try to displace the news about yourself with these affairs, and that he was giving venereal disease, treatment to his wife secretly.
Like sometimes what happens though, because this in like a smaller family or a smaller town where we're not talking about billions, but the same dynamic plays out where you're splitting up and they're coming after your money and you just like start finding reasons to pay all your friends exorbitant amounts of money in order for you to not be exposed, right? Get rid of all your liquids so that whenever something comes and hits you, you've got kind of a place to go back to, or at the very least you would hope favors prepaid far in advance so that you can like coast and maintain more than that it seems the logical way that this happens.
I think it's Go ahead. Sorry.
You're reminding me of what just came like there's part of in the Epstein files, there's a telephone exchange, or it's not a telephone exchange. I think he's in person wearing a wire. Epstein was in person wearing a wire with the guy who's basically in charge of the whole Israeli military, and he's retiring. And Epstein is explaining to him how to do the good PR and for him to still make money after he leaves and what angle he can use. And it's so explicit because Epstein's talking about people that owe him favors. And he was like, here's how, there's this list of people and they can help us with, do this messaging. So he's talking about PR, but he's also just talking about how to make money with the favors to how do we kind of like project this good image of you or whatever. And it's like, it's very telling because it's just like, oh, you got all these, what you said reminded me of it, because like you got a list of people that owe you, and now it could be anything. Like that just happens to be in that one example what he's proposing using them for. But apparently this is Captain Obvious here, but apparently Epstein had just like this giant list of people that had specific roles that, in this instance I can go to them for this, in this instance I can go to them for that. It's just rich
matchmaker.
I hate like talking about this now because we're gonna get comments that say like, first you supported Zionism, now you're telling us that Epstein's not the bad guy. I got a comment like that the other day. But I'm starting to read into this narrative a little too much. I'm sorry.
Guy?
I'm starting to think that he's the least horrible of any of the people he surrounded himself with.
But just to quote Doug Stanhope, that your suck doesn't make my suck any less suck.
Sure, but it's not like he's even doing the thing. Like the narrative that he was having sex with kids is no longer even plausible. That seems to be very plausible about the Clintons still. That they're like frazzle
why is
dripping.
that no longer plausible?
Because he's not going to Haiti with them, and instead he's publishing the paperwork. I think it's more and more plausible that Epstein is Q, right? He's like, look into me, look into this guy.
I
Look
can't
what
take
I'm
you
trying.
serious right now. I can't take you serious. Just for the record, I don't believe any of that.
The Epstein letters talking about Bill Gates saying, man, you're asking me to secretly give your wife STD medication so she doesn't find out what you did, is kind of saying that he was disgusted. Epstein was disgusted with Bill Gates, right? And disgusted with all of these people.
Yeah,
and so he is kind of building up this rapport of these disgusting people that are killing kids, frazzle dripping kids in Haiti. I don't think there's
it's a Rorschach test, dude. So many people are just seeing whatever they want to see. If you're
looking, the Freemason disagrees with me. Great.
I think that Epstein was like a car dealer, maybe like a Lamborghini car dealer, right? If you wanted a Lamborghini, you had to go to this one place, you could test drive it.
Right.
Maybe he likes driving Lamborghinis.
That's the old story. That's the old story. I understand that that's what they're telling the public. I get that that's what CNN
he was dealing something with
whatever. He was secretly a good guy, is what we're hearing.
That's not what CNN's saying. CNN's saying he's the main bad guy and that he tricked these poor innocent people into buying Lamborghinis. They never would have wanted to drive a Lamborghini that fast, but this guy made them want to.
Slaps hood of woman. What do I have to do today to get you to walk out with this 17-year-old?
I'm pretty sure that that's the narrative that the mainstream media wants us to project. So maybe we should just say that, and then that's the new psyop, is that we say that these other people, Bill Gates and Hillary Clinton, they were just tricked. Bill Clinton, he obviously was an innocent man, like he didn't want to do these things. He was tricked. Like that's what we're supposed to pretend.
He was charged with being a pimp, basically. And so was Maxwell. It's not. Right. It's not. And
I'm starting to think that he's more and more like a honeypotter than a pimp. And these are less and less prostitutes.
You're starting to think. That's what I thought for the longest time. But I'm not completely sure of anything anymore. Ultimately, because you're looking at code words. What are these code words? I'm leaning towards. I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to. But I'm leaning towards it has something to do with stem cells. I think these people are getting
every technology that he invested in is open source, so you can look into it deeper than you want to. I mean, I've got people like Ben Gertzel was put out his letter recently about why he happened to, of all the finances he's ever taken for AI programming, took $100,000 at one point from Epstein, and explaining how he interacted with it. Because all these tech people were interacting with Epstein because Epstein was trying to finance all of these things: AI, transhumanism, cloning, medicine.
As extreme as it even sounds, I think that the whole like honeypot being a pimp, like underage pimp thing, is so explosive that it takes the focus away from like the actual things that they're worried about people looking into him doing. It's not that isn't horrific. It's just that it is so showy and so like distracting that it's so easy to just be a bam, look over here and make that the entire focus, and then don't worry about the theoretical physics and like biological experiments that he was going through and the things he was like donating and how he was funneling money
but all those things are not like secrets. That's the thing. Everything he did, put into open source technology. So you can read all of the work that was financed by Epstein because every one of them was open sourcing. It's like beyond declassified, man. He was
involved in The Big Short. And so like, if like the housing bubble of 2008 and all these people were denying it, they did that gaslighting thing, or they didn't know, where they're like, there is no bubble. And lo and behold, we see there's a bubble. But the problem is that at the end of that, when the banks were bailed out through taxpayer money and all this stuff, like we all know it, and it seems like there should have been somebody reprimanded for this, but Epstein is in the center of it, and that's one of the things that you can kind of get from that Steve Bannon Epstein interview that came out, and also the work of Mike Benz. Mike Benz was on Rogan not that long ago, and he spilled a bunch of stuff that you're like, this is highly illegal and goes beyond the sensationalist, whatever people are going to with like satanic ritual and babies and who the hell knows. it's just like, dude, on this level, like you can see it implicates all of these people like in really bad ways who are like very influential people. And people, if you look at the comments on that YouTube for that Rogan thing with Mike Benz, everybody is just like, oh, you're just trying to distract from this stuff. And I'm like, dude, the whole time I'm like, he never denied that stuff. He said that this is vindicating for the Pizzagate believers, because there is weird stuff like that you can see. It's very suggestive of code words, but then he's brief on that and just goes into all this illegal activity that these people were doing. But it's what's insane, it's been normalized. Like if you watch that film, I haven't seen it since it came out, but that movie The Big Short, at the end of it you're like, this is all illegal, and they just were like, well, it's so widespread, it's so over the top that we basically are just, are we going to arrest everybody? It's like torrenting or something. You're like, you're going to arrest half the population. What are you going to do? You know, because it's just everybody went along with this Ponzi scheme, and now it's just like, what is everybody who is involved going to be part of it? So I don't know what they're going to do as far as like all this stuff, like from 2008.
They're going to replace them with clones.
Statute of limitations it feels like the statute of limitations is getting shorter and shorter, even though technically, legally, it's not. It feels like people are treating it that way. They're like, oh, 3 years ago, oh well, you know, those were crazy times. You know, people got carried away. I don't know. You know, let it go, move on. And it's just like, dude, even 2008, I'm like, dude, this is sketchy as hell. Like, what the hell?
But what are you supposed to do about it? It's like the cat's out of the bag, right? Like the toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't put it back in. Like even if you want to definitively damage,
like
there are ways. You don't want to know about them, Thomas, but there are ways to put the toothpaste back in.
I don't know. All I gotta say is 5 years ago, I put out the Echo the Dolphin series, and it was pretty fucking clear then what Terra Mars was about, what AI was going to do, the future of AI, how AI was going to lead to, you know, music generation and Broccolo, right? We were talking about generative music generation like 5 years ago, and how this related to the people that were putting the money into these projects, who was putting the projects together. And I think you already know, like if you've been watching this channel, you already know all this stuff. So it's just hard to believe that it's like 2026. It's not 5, it's 6 years ago. 6 years ago, and we already said all of these things would happen, and they're happening all the time around you right now.
Horrible optics happening right now. For like, I'm looking at Iran, and I'm like, you have a lot of, like, maybe over half of the people living in Iran who are we assume are Muslim are actually Persian, who have basically been forced to be Muslim. And so it's a put on. It's like saying in 2020, 2021, all the experts agree, and then there's an expert who's like, I don't agree, and they're like, you're fired. You all agree, right? Like it's like this strong arming thing that happens. And so now, you know, it doesn't fit the color code shit that people need these days to take a position on who the oppressed and who the oppressor are in Iran, because you're like, these people all, you know, generally speaking, kind of look the same.
Like Operation Ajax is what originally changed that. I can't remember the exact year, but I feel like we're coming up on like an anniversary for Operation Ajax.
Dude, this is not the same guy. You know, Ayatollah's been replaced 5 times probably. It's more than Putin's been replaced. Ayatollah's been replaced. And the more you look at the ministers of the Ayatollah, the more you see that they're Europeans or Germans or American people, agents that have been running Iran somewhat secretly at the very top. The whole thing is a charade. Iran is a charade. It's not even a real country anymore. It's completely made up. And the people who could prove this, because, you know, Iranian kids have some of the highest IQs in the world. They're very intelligent. The women and the men are both very intelligent. They're very well educated. They have access to the only thing they don't have access to, because their electricity, by the way, is 1,000 times cheaper. So they should be able to have better technology than us, but they don't have access to reliable internet all the time. So you'll see videos that have gone through 6 VPNs to get out on the internet, because otherwise the CIA or the Ayatollah, whatever the difference is at this point, are going to kill these kids. But Iran's a complete sham, and it's designed around the idea of keeping Israeli supremacy in the Middle East, particularly involved with oil transfers, because Israel is involved with Saudi Arabia now. I mean, the entire thing is a destabilization of the Middle East, at the hands of the Bush family, right? Like this is stuff that we've seen going on for decades, and just it's hard to pretend anymore that the Ayatollah is alive. So this week, I think we're going to say, did they already say that he's dead? I think that's what
there has been official statements that he's dead, and then a judge basically overturned the ruling that he's dead. And I didn't know if you could do that without exhuming a body or showing a body or anything. Like, it's like, what are you talking about? So that was
Dread Pirate headline. Roberts. It's just
it's like an actual headline. It was like, judge overturns death report of Ayatollah.
Are we giving the Bush family too much credit right now, though, when you say at the hands of the Bush family? Because once Bush Sr. is out of the picture, who's really running the Bush dynasty at this point? It almost seems that they're headed more towards like a Bush housewives show versus like running the world at this point.
I mean, they're obviously not as stupid as they pretend to be, and they're great actors. Jeb Bush is actually better at pretending
he actually won the presidency. We just don't know it. It's been
Jeb Bush can pull off seeming retarded. Like, honestly, you can look at him and think this guy's a boring, dumb guy. Like, W. Bush can't. W. Bush is so clever that he comes off as this comic actor, and he's everything he does
the entire time.
Yeah,
his accent is fake. Do you think that the Bush talked with a Texas accent in reality? And he kept in character the entire time.
Only at Bohemian Grove do they talk
never
like
before,
that.
Never since Reagan at that point had there been such an actor president. And you know that saying, it takes a wise man to play the part of a fool. I feel like George W.'s entire campaign and presidency was like a great example of that. He was just like, and it was likable as the fool to some degree, you know, but that wasn't his voice. Like, he didn't talk like that naturally. The entire time he put it on, like, what the hell?
And the thing is, it's brilliant because this way, people who would normally be bored with politicians would say, did you hear what the guy said? This is what they do with Trump, right? Did you read Trump's tweet? It was so crazy. How crazy was it? It was, this is what he said. And it gets people who would otherwise not care or hate Trump, especially, to share Trump tweets. Well, this is exactly how Bush became famous. He could say something and you would think it was funny how he said this thing, that then it would become a Bushism and people would quote it and it would be played around the world on television for everyone. They say, wow, how funny is this guy? But then he got more airtime than any president before, because no one cares if you're smart and you're stable and you're walking, they're just going to ignore you. But as soon as you trip, then everyone sees, right? So he's this perfect comedic actor.
He's like the Jerry Lewis of presidents.
Yeah, but so were a lot of presidents, to be fair. Like, I think Ford was obviously compensating for not being elected, right? The fact that Ford didn't have an election, he had to come off as this stupid, inept character who falls down stairs. But if you fall down 20 stairs and you don't get hurt and you get back up again, you're a freaking Juilliard actor.
Dude,
that's what you are.
Dude,
you know?
That's what James Mazzio told me. He was at the I think it was Warhol's spot in New York, the factory or whatever, and it was a party and there was a stairway and Jim Morrison was at the top of the stairs and there's only like 2 people in the room, like below, like, and Jim Morrison is like walking out and he's at the top of the stairs and goes, hey, you guys want to see my John Wayne impersonation? And so Maz is like, yeah, sure. And Jim Morrison just like purposely just falls down a staircase. And then it clearly looked like he must have been injured to some degree because he fell down the staircase. And then he stands up and he bows and then he walks out the door. And what Maz said, it was like, that wasn't for a crowd of people. That was for 2 people. He's like, for the sake of the joke, I'm literally going to fall down a flight of stairs because that's just the level that he was at, you know, which, yeah.
I heard the same thing about Richard Pryor, that it was like he did it for the bit.
He lit his face on fire.
The whole thing was for the bit. I never thought of that. That's crazy.
Oh, that's some dedication. That's
yeah. Well, I mean, that's like Bob. Maybe it's not, but that I'm reminded of Bob Dylan saying he was never against the Vietnam War ever. He was like, I never said that. Where'd you hear that I was against the war? I never, you know, show me where I said that. I was never against the war.
I'm pro-war, you know. What about Shia LaBeouf if we're going to do all those contemporary subjects?
Can we get him on the show? It looks like he's a little more accessible than he has been in the past.
The thing is, you got this, like, I don't like this Channel 5 guy. You know, I always distrusted him. And then he did the Hunter Biden thing. And I was like, okay, that's maybe he's cool for doing the Hunter Biden thing. And then I went back to realizing, no, he's a total scam artist. He's a piece of shit. This dude.
Can you play the whole clip? Just, it's 30 seconds long. This is so funny. Come on.
I totally will. But I just want to remind people, like, the reason I realized this guy sucks was after he did the interview with the Mormon kid who went to Minnesota. And you saw how he, you know, on one hand, the Mormon kid had recorded the whole thing himself. So it's like, wait, why is my 2-hour conversation 45 minutes? What did they do? And they cut out all kinds of stuff. It's like, interesting. Here's what I said, and here's what he showed. And then this guy goes and he actually records himself and does a response. And as soon as you do a response to someone calling you out, that seems to me that you take it seriously, like that people are going to recognize it.
I want to say, Andreas, this was my process around when we did that Vice interview, because my feeling is like there was things that were said in it that I was like concerned that they wouldn't be included. And then it turned out that they just cut me out altogether, which is a huge compliment to me. It's just like, oh, so you weren't able to use me. And I made it a point when we were talking that I didn't want to say something that could be taken a different way. Like I didn't even want there to be like a 30-second clip that you could take out of context. I wanted to include the context as much as possible, to the point that I don't think that they wanted to use it at all. So I would rather be cut entirely from the whole thing. Like, I mean, for people who don't know, Vice came to my home with Andreas here and my friend Jesse, and we did a full day of interviews at my home in my living room.
Is this when Al Gore owned it? Didn't Al Gore own Vice originally?
And Current TV. Yeah.
Did he really?
Like, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know that.
He was involved with a bunch of these things. Google, he was on Apple's board, Google's board. He, you know, yeah. That's when I first
invented the internet, so it shouldn't be that surprising.
I pissed them off to begin with the COVID test. They wanted me to do a PCR test, and they sent it to me, and then like the morning of the thing, I just like, I had the woman, I kept on delaying. I'm like, oh, I can't get to it. And, you know, whatever. I'm talking to the woman who's like in charge of making sure that I'm tested. And I went through the entire pandemic without ever doing a PCR test, including for when Vice went. And I told her, I was like, hey, my internet's not working. I had her on the phone. I had her phone number. So I was like, I can't, because she has to watch me do it. And I was just like, my internet's not working. I'm sorry.
What's the problem with doing a PCR test? It's like literally.
I don't like the whole mummification ritual.
I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you why I would never. I refuse to do a PCR test. I'll tell you why. It's because the amount of false positives for a PCR test means that ultimately this whole thing is like arbitrary and invalid. You can't say that.
This is what was really funny, because I didn't do it for my own Vice special either. I was in freaking Alaska for my cousin's wedding, and there was no way that I could get internet in the middle of like Anastasia or wherever the hell I was. There was no way I was going to get access to internet. And they told me, I feel like it's okay to say that somebody may have told me that, and they might not have. Maybe I'm just making this up, so no legal things here. But it's possible that I heard someone tell me that they do this for insurance reasons. They don't care. They don't believe in it. They have no agenda.
Yeah.
And so this was my big thing with Vice. I was worried that we were going to be dealing with people that were really informed and were very aware of what's going on. And instead, they were in the process of expanding Vice until it exploded, like some sort of a cake that's rising in the oven and then just pops. So they put so much money into building current Vice TV that when they did the special, they just hired people from Craigslist. They're like, if you have any skills and you have a resume and you've worked in, and so all these people had worked in television at some point, but none of them were really Vice people necessarily. And
I feel that part of that's a self-inflicted falling for what the logical fallacy of appeal to authority. Like it's the Milgram experiment. Someone showed up in a lab coat and you were like, oh, must be a scientist. And then you realize they're like, oh, it's just a guy off Craigslist.
I mean, it was great though, because it felt like it was like trying to walk through the Death Star in order to get to Darth Sidious. And all you saw were stormtroopers they don't know what's going on. They just work in this giant Death Star. So you could just kind of move your way through, and no one really cares that Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to turn off the defense system for the giant Death Star. So it was a pretty good deal, but they definitely wanted to say that they had done everything they had to do for their business. So PCR tests were one of the things that they were told they have to do. I'm pretty sure most of the people doing the show did PCR tests, but at least 3 of the, there was one guy who lived in a van who was doing sound for us, right? Do you remember that guy?
Oh, that guy was cool. Yeah.
He was a cool guy. I don't think he did the test, right? Like, I don't think anybody really believed in any
I
of
don't
that
know.
stuff.
I didn't ask anybody, and I don't know. But it just that whole setup during that time. I don't have any symptoms. That's one of the symptoms. It was just like, I'm not gonna play along.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, not worth it for sure. All right, you guys wanted to see Shia LaBeouf being based.
yeah, I want to watch
what the Bible
it.
says about homosexuality. What does it say? Nah, that's what it says. Yeah, but wasn't that written a really long time ago? Bro, you can do whatever you want with the text. It's not my business. You know what I mean? I'm a traditional Catholic. That's okay. What's the difference between a traditional Catholic and, let's say, a more progressive Christian? I really fuck with the Bible. You believe in hell and stuff? Yeah. Who do you think's down there? Who's down there? Martin Luther, the man who wrote the Protestant. Martin Luther's there. Yeah, he had the special haircut. He's gone. The fool's gone. Well, I know what the Bible says.
Okay. This is the thing: is that he's a comic genius, dude.
Yeah.
Like his future should just be like in comedy to the max. Like he's so good at it. And you know that movie,
Martin
The
Luther.
Peanut Butter Falcon, is so moving and so funny at the same time. If you guys haven't seen that movie,
I've seen it. Where he hangs out with
It's pretty good. But he has a future in comedy more than he has a future in drama. Look at that. That just, you can't even tell. Is he just playing this, or is this just like, what's the deal?
I mean, I think I have to see the unedited version. Like, I will never trust anything this Channel 5 guy does ever
I
again.
didn't think that this was going to be the clip you're going to play. I saw another clip, and it didn't cut back and forth like that. It's just one continuous thing. So I don't even know if they fuck with this, but like this is a good interview what I saw of it, but I didn't even see that part. But yeah,
let's see. Where's we go to media.
Oh wait, did Jesus ever say anything about that? Like most of the time that comes up, it's usually Old Testament, right? Like there's nothing in New Testament.
So it depends on your translation, because usually they say like never lie with another man the way you lie with a woman.
But is that not Old Testament?
That could mean something different, right? Like,
no,
I would lie. If a woman asks me like, do these pants make her ass look fat? I will lie to her and tell her that it doesn't. People right? And I wouldn't do that to you. If like Paranoid American asked me, do these pants make my ass look fat? I will tell you the truth. Because I will never lie to you the way I would lie to a woman.
That verse is about incest. That verse is 100% about incest. And you can actually prove that because of the particular wording that's used and where it reoccurs and what the context of that whole section is before that verse shows up.
Like, thing about
ancient Hebrew is it's not that for every word, here's the translation. There's 20 to 30 different, and there's all this 20 to 30 different potential translations frequently of any given word. And if you look at the context of that verse and you look at the specific wording that's used, we assume it because we hear that in English and we're like, clearly that what that means. Don't lay with somebody like you would somebody. But if you look at everything that's before that and where it gets to that, this is a debate. Like, it's still debatable, but all signs point to, in like, as far as like religious scholars are concerned, that's actually talking about incest specifically. So it doesn't mean that they wouldn't say bad things about that, but that's not what that specific verse is. That's always used on signs when religious people are protesting or whatever. They'll always have that,
just
verse reference.
To be clear, that's Old Testament, not New Testament.
That's Old Testament. And in the New Testament, I don't even know if there's any example of that.
The Apostle Paul, if you want to call him an apostle, he was probably gay, right? There was this whole thing where he went around with that like young boy, and he's always upset about like how people are getting married. He's like, you shouldn't get married because the world's ending anyway. Seems like he's lying to himself. I don't know. I'm a lot less Catholic than Shia LaBeouf, even though I was raised that way. I'm convinced Paul is a problem, problematic character.
Right.
For the whole church.
No, I was raised with like
Paranoid Americans, like it's just like
Dude, I went through ministerial training, by the way. I don't know if everybody knows that. I was got my diploma, like I was raised I was raised in a Christian school. Yeah. Like an academic Christian school. up until the point in junior high when a kid went to kick me and I like lifted his legs straight up when he went to kick me and he landed on the back of his head on concrete, suffered a concussion. I wasn't invited back. So I got booted from a Christian school, and then I went to public, and I was kind of like baffled by, I thought like, oh, I'm going to be getting out of the dogma. I'm going to a public school, and then I was like, I've been sitting there in science class. I'm like, oh, this is dogmatic in its own way too. And then I was like, you guys are telling me things like this is a belief system and this is a fact. Certain aspects where I'm like, not necessarily. Like you guys kind of reminding me of the Christian school that I left, but it was weird. Like I don't know, like.
I'm now like, I think the biggest conspiracy after Santa Claus, the second biggest conspiracy, and this is like, it's so hard to not make this sound hyperbolic, but it's that Christian school and most Christian churches are there to teach kids to hate Christ, which is weird, right? Because it's like what you usually hate is the church, and what you usually hate is like all the weird Old Testament stuff and not the New Testament stuff. But almost every kid or everyone that grows up and that goes through that, they end up turning that hatred towards Christ specifically and towards Christians, even without knowing what. And really, it's like this hate at the system. And it is it's so pervasive, and it's been going on for so many centuries that the only thing that makes sense is that it's all intentional. That like the actual church, the Vatican, is like, we're gonna make this suck so bad that we're just gonna say it's all in service of God and Jesus. And if you can do that, then you just have people turn against it by default.
We're dealing with a momentum and a residue of so many years of preachers telling people what the Bible said. And we live in a time now where enough people are literate and there's access to, your ability to analyze these texts, whether you're talking the Greek of the New Testament or the Hebrew and Aramaic of the Old Testament. Like you can look at things in a way that people for ages weren't able to. Like it's one of the wonders of what the computer has done and the internet has done for like religious study. Like it's crazy where you can go with that now. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, people were told what the text said and they weren't looking at it directly. And now we got to deal with people treating it as though what the preacher said for ages is like, that this is still applies when a lot of it doesn't. So, that's a difficulty.
I do like that how do you say his last name?
Shia LaBeouf.
LaBeouf.
Yeah.
That he called out Martin Luther. He's like, Martin Luther's down there, bro. If you look into Martin Luther, he was crazy, bro. Like half of the things when he did those little talks, he would just rant about changelings for like 2 or 3 days on end, and how you should.
Well, that part was true. I mean,
no, that's not true. Is that psyop?
No, I'm saying like the changeling thing is a serious problem that you should worry about. So like Martin Luther was trying to...
right. Well, he had his revelation in the shitter. Let's be very clear about where he got his insight. And then it's pointed out by Norman O. Brown, fitting name, who wrote Life Against Death, where he looks at Martin Luther's descriptions of hell, and in just about every case they're related to the bowels. His whole revelation was in an outhouse, basically, like contemplating the bowels as hell. And then all of his semblance. So Norman O. Brown would argue that it relates to Freud's anality and how we relate to our digestive system and our contraction around that area we're associations for hell. So like it gets weird with Martin Luther, because it's like what you're describing heaven as, like it's almost like when I was in massage school, everything is superior or inferior in the body. Why? Because of Descartes. So the closer that you are to the pineal gland, the more superior that's still used in medical stuff all over the place because of Descartes. The same thing you could apply to Martin Luther's conception of heaven and hell. It's literally like, if you look at the terminology that's used and the way he treats it, heaven relates to anything that's superior, hell relates to anything that's inferior in terms of the body. So take from that what you will, but it is a larger discussion, and I think I'm prone to agree with LaBeouf on this point.
Yeah, we should watch another LaBeouf video. This is, I think this is the one you wanted to see.
And 3 gay dudes are next to me touching my leg, I get scared.
No, but still, go ahead.
If that's homophobic, then I'm that. Yeah. No, it just happened one time.
recently?
Well, that's why got arrested.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were sort of being groped and surrounded.
I'm not going to say that because my lawyer said
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We can back
no.
up.
I am wrong for touching anyone ever, and that's the end of my statement on this whole
Gotcha.
shit.
Sounds good.
Cool.
I think this
Moving
fake.
back to like what kind of things would set off that Napoleon complex?
Being challenged, my masculinity being challenged, somebody touching my girl, or touching my kid, or I'm good with gay. Be gay over there though. Don't be gay in my lap.
So you feel like when things that you feel that you possess in a way are challenged, like your girl, your kid, if someone gets in the way of what they want to do.
Yeah, if somebody, there's personal space type stuff, which gets weird at it's Mardi Gras. That's why, bro. I was drunk and it's Mardi Gras. So everything I'm saying is nonsense. It's Mardi Gras,
But it sounds like this complex is maybe something that you noticed for a long time.
I mean, maybe, bro. I mean, my dad was by his cousin, so he was in my ear all the time. I don't know. Maybe I am. Who the knows, bro? I'm open to whatever somebody wants to say. It didn't feel like that when it happened. Look, and this is the worst thing to say, and I'm not going to say it. I never had no problem with gay people. Never. I remember paying for people's transition surgery when I was around the internet heavy. I've never been adversarial towards it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't seem like a
We don't need
homophobic
to-
guy.
This is not the clip.
I don't know. I'm open to whatever. If somebody's got more information on the subject, then let me know. I know I can deep off into the Bible. I know what the Bible says.
About
Okay. No.
Let me just say that is like the ultimate flex to be like, I'm not gay. I've paid for a transition shirt. Like I feel like you get like a permanent life pass now to just. Hey, man.
No, the clip that I was talking about was just him. He's not talking about gay stuff. He's just talking about that he got carried away at Mardi Gras and then like the way he treats it. But it's just like he's like, yeah, I messed up, yeah, my bad, whatever. But I don't know. It's
So
funny.
that's what happened though, is that someone started giving him like a guy started giving him a lap dance and he assaulted him. He did battery on someone or what?
Is that what?
Don't touch me. Get off of me. Something like that. He pushed the guy back. Apparently, They got in a fight over it, and yeah, I don't know the whole story, but that's basically what it looks like. He acted like he was a little upset at this person getting too up into his personal.
That was a
space.
real clip because it feels fake. That's a real clip.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that interview just happened, but okay. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's funny. He's funny, dude.
I have to believe that was a joke though, because he was like, yeah, when a gay person comes close to me, I'm afraid of them. Is that homophobic? Like he literally just described the textbook.
Yeah, he even included the
like,
phobia. It's literally the thing.
Like if he didn't do that unintentionally or intentionally, it's impossible to tell, right?
Right. Yeah, it is impossible to tell with him. He's got that like in between, like you're like, dude, are you being serious or are you just like, I'm like, I can never really tell.
I think he's pretty clever. I'm pretty convinced that he's like, he was at the whole thing with his paper bag that everyone remembers him saying, "I'm not famous," wearing a paper bag. That was at like the Cannes Film Festival, right? So he's definitely done he's surrounded himself in the past with artistic, creative people. And it's interesting that this week is associated with Epstein and Shia LaBeouf, right? Like the whole week is all about all the disclosure around Epstein. And then simultaneously he has this arrest and he gets released. And so the releasing of Shia LaBeouf to me seems like it means something. Like he's vindicated, he's been challenged, and he's been released. But just one clip is
on the same day all these documents are dropping.
Nah, bro. I was fucking chasing ass on Mardi Gras. What do you mean? I wasn't paying no attention to Epstein files. Nah, this shit is beyond me, bro. I don't get into this shit.
Yeah, I just wondered. It was like the biggest news story in the world for a couple of days was Epstein.
If you got no life, you're just sitting in a fucking hole all day. You're not, chasing ass and getting out of it. Motherfuckers that are in the street, they don't give a fuck about this stupid shit. You know what I mean? So if you're sitting home all day, just like, who got kidnapped? You know what I mean? Your life sucks. Fuck off. But if you're out here, nobody gives.
I don't know, man. I have a hard time believing he's not like 3 steps ahead of this conversation.
Right. That's yeah, totally. I can never tell with that guy. He's like that, Is this the whole thing a bit? And it feels like kind of resonant with Jim Carrey. like what Jim Carrey has historically been, like when he would go in the like Srina Sagadata Maharaj direction at award ceremonies where they're like, and he's just like, he's looking around like he's just like, no, this is all fake, it's all an illusion, and he just like runs with that, you're like, okay, are you like, what do you do? Is this a bit or this is who you are?
I feel like we're thinking the same thing too, because you went Jim Carrey, I went Andy Kaufman, but I guess it's like the same.
I went Andy
thing.
Kaufman, and then it made me say Jim Carrey.
Well,
so
I mean,
like, I was
never go full
thinking Andy
Andy
Kaufman
Kaufman.
before I said Jim Carrey.
But imagine if the Disney Channel had an Andy Kaufman. I feel like that's maybe what we have here.
Totally. Well, yeah, I mean, Andy Kaufman, my God, like it's like, if I don't know if people realize, like, in the first place, what Andy Kaufman was doing, it was the original Tim and Eric idea that was way ahead of its time. So they're like, we're just gonna have like, you're watching TV and then it starts to like get messed up, like it's like, oh, you need to fiddle with the antenna or whatever, and they're like, no, it's just like that, like that's just in it, like it doesn't matter, like that's part of the show. But people are going to be getting up and fucking with their TV, and it's like, yeah, that's the joke. And they're like, but they won't get it that it's a joke, and it's like, that's what makes it so good. And then it's like, now that's become like a norm, like to some degree, like that shit happens. And if you look at like Jim Carrey, he shares a birthday with Andy Kaufman. Like he I don't know, like if you're talking about like actors that portray people, like I don't like the Doors movie from Oliver Stone, but it's the best, it's one of the best performances in a biopic where somebody just like really went into and captured the essence of the person. Like I feel that from Val Kilmer. It's an extraordinary acting job, even though I don't really like the movie. But with like Jim Carrey, with like, I'm like, dude, he just got so into it. And I would say that documentary about the making of Man on the Moon is actually better than Man on the Moon. Like for real, like it's just like his whole process behind it, how into it he got. But that was Andy Kaufman too. Like you can't tell with that, like I'm gonna wrestle women, like he saw the future. Like Andy Kaufman saw the future of like men wanting to like do like beat women in sports, and just like, I'm just going to be this character. And he got so into it that you can't even tell the line where he is this,
like he would have transitioned for real today,
like for real, but not for real. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like he could have put it on to the degree, and it's kind of like,
yeah, he loses himself completely. There's an ego death and a replacement, like a possession. This happened with Will Smith. I don't think Will Smith ever psychologically recovered from the movie Ali, where he played Muhammad Ali. And he's talked about it, that like he got so into character and took acting lessons to learn how to become like Muhammad Ali, that it made him forever a racist and had all these insecurities that he didn't have before. Right.
But the thing with Andy Kaufman that's distinct, and the thing about Jim Carrey, is that this is taking comedy to like to another plane of comedy existence, because like there's a joke that's like the big joke, it's like, that's like the illusion of Maya, like this level of like where we don't know ultimately what is what, in terms of where does our projection end and the reality that's beyond it, where does that begin? And so they were messing with people, like Andy Kaufman messed with people to force a reflection by getting so into this scapegoat. Like he wanted everyone to be so mad at him, all these women to be, just like seeing him as the ultimate evil while he took it on. There's something very Christ-like about that. And like I could say the same thing for Lenny Bruce almost, but not really, because Andy Kaufman like went to a place with it where he doesn't care that he's become a point of rage because the joke is just that good. So it's like it's that funny that it's worth it. Like for him to be like, I am the women's champion, I will beat any woman in the ring. Like as you're like, he knows that it's just like infuriating for these women, they just go there to feel the rage. And he's like, it's an outlet. But he wanted people to reflect on scapegoatism, not about himself, but to apply this. Where are you going with this? Like in your own mind, when you hate somebody that you don't actually know, like the full story, like they did, like, I don't know, maybe I'm going on too long about this, but I'm just saying, like, there's something profound about that.
I would just say I would separate Jim Carrey from that, because I feel like Jim Carrey maybe try to retroactively add more depth to his career after the fact, after it was a little bit, I mean, I knew him as like Fireman Bill, Fire Marshal Bill or whatever, and then he turned into Ace Ventura, and it was kind of like the annoying voices and faces and very like caricaturesque, whereas like Kaufman was a complete meta, and I think Jim Carrey, the biggest contribution I think Jim Carrey had, at least in my subjective lifetime, but it was to show that you can be like the zaniest, top-selling comedian, and everyone expects you to be the zany, like making faces, and then also go back and do like very dramatic stuff. And I think he should, like, that was the first time that like a legitimate comedian, like the top of the line comedian, also turned into a dramatic actor. Before then, it was almost like you had to be pigeonholed, and there was no way you were going to bounce back.
Somebody in the comments says, "Well, it is Purim." That's appropriate, because you become the character that you most want to be, like you embody, which is what Jim Carrey kind of did. It's like the whole thing with him with Andy Kaufman is like an extended Purim. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think don't make me say it again. I have to say it. Dark Crimes is the best deadpan, or is the most extreme deadpan comedy that's ever been. Like, no one would with Charlotte Gainsbourg and Jim Carrey. Yeah, I think it's called Dark Crimes, isn't that it? But yeah,
I'm drawing a blank. I don't know if I've ever.
There's
seen
a movie where he's an
movie?
Irish detective, Jim Carrey, and he's so damn serious. Like, he tries to be as serious as he possibly can, and I think it's like one of the most hysterical comedies ever made. That's just so deadpan that it becomes invisible. Like, I think this.
I've never seen this.
Oh my god! I watched this whole movie, and then I didn't laugh, and then I watched it again, and I couldn't stop laughing. Like, something happened.
Dude, I feel the same way. This is gonna sound really horrible, but there was a movie with Robin Williams, and he was trying to do something very similar. It was like After Jack, and it was like in Alaska. And he's like a serial killer. He murders like the student, whatever. Anyways,
not 1 hour photo, but the other one.
It was sometime after 1 hour photo. It was I want to say like Robert De Niro or Al Pacino was in it to go.
The angriest man in Brooklyn.
No, scene though, and he's like trying to do this transition. Like, I'm this crazy zany guy, and now I'm gonna do serious stuff. And they're in this car. And he's driving somewhere, and the girl is like slowly realizing, like, oh, this is the guy that's been like hurting everyone. And as soon as she notices it, he just like punches her, just like it's like such a quick, like out of nowhere, just like bam. And because it was Robin Williams, and because I had been conditioned my whole life to laugh at him doing unexpected things, like in the movie theater, I just burst out laughing as he just like punches this person out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was hard to separate like my reaction to that.
There's a scene in that.
You think hitting women is funny?
And the movie was Insomnia.
No, it was
Insomnia.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember that. But there's like the scene with Jim Carrey in Dark Crimes where he's like, I think it's kind of towards the beginning, and he's eating breakfast, like his wife made him like eggs and toast or whatever, and he's sitting there and he's playing a recording of this guy that he's investigating who had done like all these sick things with like torturing people combined with S&M, like they're getting off on it or whatever. But he's at the breakfast table, and his wife is in there. And he's just like, and he's talking, he's like, Jim Carrey speaking with his Irish accent, and his wife is like, turn that off, like, stop playing. And he's like, no, I gotta. He's like so serious eating his bread. He's like, no, I gotta, like, just play. He's in it, you know. And it's like, it feels like this trope of like, it's like taking it further, where there's like, you know, where the commissioner's like, you know, you're a loose cannon. You gotta, you know, there's like that kind of dynamic of like, you know, but you gotta leave this case alone. You went too deep. Remember what it did before to you, you know? And he's like, no, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna get this. You know, it's like, it's that whole trope, but it takes it to this extreme. And he's just like, he's so serious. And when he puts on that Irish accent, it doesn't really sound convincing completely. So it's like, but
she's like telling her, she's saying, turn off that accent. He's like, no, I've gotta.
Right. It's kind of like that, yeah. It's like, could you stop playing this sick shit at the breakfast table at the very least? He's like, no, I gotta get this guy. This guy's so sick. And then he becomes the thing too. It's got that whole Nietzsche, the monsters become monsters, you know, like, don't study monsters because you'll become, you know, the abyss. Like, he does that completely. Like, he's so into it. He wants to become the guy that he's investigating. And it speaks to that whole phenomenon where when people are so doing that scapegoatism thing where they go all crazy over somebody, and then they start to have that same evil that they're pointing out like shows up in themselves, but they don't see it because it's self-righteous in their mind. So they can rationalize it because they're like, oh, but this person's the ultimate evil. So I have to continuously pay attention to this evil. And then you start incorporating the evil, and you're like through the back door, and you're like, where did this come?
Could there be like a Nietzsche legal defense where like, Your Honor, you can't look into my client because staring into the abyss will like turn you into a monster, and it's
we call that the Charles Manson defense, right? The Charles
Yeah.
I guess that is the
Charles Manson's defense was actually, what if he really is Jesus? And Manson's like sitting there like looking back and forth like, really, this is what you're going with? He's like, no, just suppose my client is Jesus. Like, has this not occurred to you? He's like, stop it. He's like, no, I got this, Charlie. Don't worry about it. The jury's gonna get this. Like,
I've never lost the case.
Oh my god, I haven't listened to this song in a while, but for whatever reason today I was listening to Charles Manson's My World song.
My world is a sad world.
I think Vivo owns this. You're gonna get a copyright strike.
No, you're not gonna get a copyright strike for this. I've already looked into it.
Yeah,
you're good.
Plus I have covers. I could play my own cover of it, but the point was to hear his guitar because he's so good at guitar. He's like Django Reinhardt.
Everyone says crazy.
Really?
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I think it was a little too much credit there.
I could see him working in like a guitar center and teaching like teenagers how to play bar chords, but I don't know if
Andreas is just trying to get in the New York Times again. Podcaster Xirtus says.
Right. Robin Williams is alive. You know that Robin Williams faked his death. Have you seen these already, right?
It seems I can't make a video without people comparing me to Robin Williams, and that man brings a damn tear of joy to my eye. I love him so much, man. So I'm gonna do a little Robin impression for y'all, okay? This is Robin Williams talking to me about swimming with the alligators. Let me see now.
Oh, no.
Happy
Is
you
this
swim with the
Lana
alligators.
Del Rey's
You get
husband?
attacked. It's not your.
Wait, what?
Is this Lana Del Rey's husband?
I would believe it, but no, it's someone else. But like his impression, this is where it gets kind of weird.
Happy you swim with the alligators. If you get attacked, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's a grand adventure. I don't know, man. Go easy on me. I'm just tired, man. I practiced a long time for that, man.
I'm convinced that
I'm the dude who plays the dude who is the dude who was,
Joy to my eye. I love swimming with the alligators. Let me see now.
Why would they put the music on this?
It's a grand adventure. I don't know, man. You can see all these damn comments, all these hilarious conspiracies.
This guy is living in Florida or something like that.
I know that it's not actually him because he doesn't have enough hair on his chest. I've seen Robin Williams. He's one of the most hairy men. He's like an ape under there. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Me getting attacked by a shark about, but I'll tell you this.
I mean, you got that Coke sniff, right? I mean, maybe not.
I am just like I am more on board with aliens and Roswell than I think I am with celebrity clones.
Oh, really? Well, what if it's not a clone? If it's just literally is Robin Williams faking his death, like Prince or Michael Jackson?
It's potato tomato in a way.
Okay.
Tomato, clamato.
I am on board
Media Clamato.
with Michael Jackson being the old guy wearing like the old guy mask. I am maybe on board on that one.
That guy on Larry King, that really is like one of the weird. Like, this can't be real. Was this guy really on
And
Larry
just like
King?
the
It's
yacht
hard.
sightings and like there were sightings with this old white guy and clearly wearing a mask. Whoever it was clearly wearing a mask.
The things that you could buy if you had enough money, like, it's very like, it doesn't have to be fully death becomes her. Like, there's some special Egyptian potion.
Hold on,
like,
hear me out.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson, you know how when people get veneers, there's like a certain level of veneer where you just shave your teeth into like little pegs so that you can kind of like Lego teeth in different veneers over time, whatever. Like, Michael Jackson did that to his face. He like pre-veneered his nose so that you could fit any other nose on top of it. He like restructured his face to be the perfect small little petite frame that you can structure any other face on top of. He could become the ultimate mask wearer.
So Ayatollah is Michael Jackson is Ayatollah, right? Like that's kind of what we're getting at here. No, I didn't make this. Okay, all right. I did make.
Dude, that's Corey Feldman, dog.
That was a real picture.
No, that was a real picture of Corey Feldman playing Michael Jackson, dude.
This one's not real, but
but
this is real and this is real. This is Michael Jackson hanging out, being Muslim. I think that's completely believable. Dude,
that's kind of where he was leaning at the time anyway. It's true.
Right.
Like it feels like if on his trajectory, if things had just continued, he would have become
What
the
man? What I would have
become
given for like a 5%er Michael Jackson album. That would have been just the absolute best.
5%er? Explain. Maybe I'm missing your point. You mean of the 5% of? What does that mean? What do you mean by 5%er?
The nation of gods and earths. The 85% of the world is dumb, deaf, and blind, and that 10% know what's going on, but then only 5% know what's going on, but are not bad people. I think that's how the math works out. Have you not?
Right.
Is this new? This is the Clarence. It's an offshoot of Nation of Islam that turned into like Clarence X, I believe, was like the main founder of this. And then this is where the Yakub, the underground scientist that grafts a whole bunch of like an underground race of giants. He grafts them into white people. Yeah, here we go. This is it.
The 5% nation. See, I don't know why, but you're more up and hip on the Nation of Islam offshoot cults than I am. And some other cults. Generally speaking, you have a good understanding of cults.
This one tends to be the one that you'll find in a lot of black musicians' repertoire. Like they will have dabbled in this at some point. And some will just use it. Like they'll get accused. I think Jay-Z got accused of wearing this symbol at one point, and then people were like, "But you're not really down with the nation, of gods and earths. You can't like represent." But I'm just thinking that Michael Jackson was 1,000,000% aware of the existence of this organization, and it would be impossible for him to have forever avoided like the influence, because so many of the popular musicians that were coming out were like some way affiliated with this nation of this 5% nation.
See, I appreciate seeing this also, just because when people tell me that I can't name my kid 01 or something because of Elon Musk, I can say Clarence 13X was way earlier than Elon Musk when it came to cool names. 13X.
Before you get too far, though, just I wouldn't use Clarence 13X as the best example of a cool name.
Did he didn't diddle kids or something? Did he?
Yeah, you might have done.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Every time.
Unlike Michael, who never did that.
Unlike Michael, thank God. Yeah. No.
Or, I mean, honestly, the exact same defense was leveraged in Clarence 13X's defense too, though. It was a character assassination.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, because when a white guy tells you that Clarence 13X diddled kids, your first thought should be that it's a setup. The same way Michael Jackson was set up, the same way Epstein was probably set up, right, Thomas? No.
The way particular case, I don't know, man. It doesn't look great.
I think it's really important for people to reflect upon the fact that, like, look at you guys were there in the 90s when it was just like everybody everywhere was just like, oh, Michael, total pervert. We saw the kid being questioned or whatever.
Thank God I had a lot of people around me who loved Michael Jackson, and they were like,
right. But even so, even they, like, the fact that people were going either way, like they knew because they had the feeling. And it was like, dude, it's just like, it's like that kid with the MAGA hat at the Capitol with the Native American with the drum. It's just like, dude, just hold up, dude. Just like breathe. But
no matter
so ready to like be so,
no matter what you believed on that, though, like with the accusations, I think everybody pro or against Michael Jackson had a good Michael Jackson joke that they had heard at some point. Like, for example, how do you know it's bedtime in Neverland when the big hand touches the little hand? No, like there was just so many perfect jokes that everyone knew at this time. If you read Cracked magazine or Mad magazine, or
that's how you know it was an Israeli conspiracy, though, right? Because all the
humor aspect, yeah. It's just like the Pollock jokes. You know that Jews run comedy, because how would we have had all those Pollock jokes? Otherwise, like. Come on.
I think he's got a point. I mean,
I don't know if they rule the world, but they rule comedy.
I don't know. I feel like Michael Jackson was, if he's not dead, then this makes sense that he went off to Syria. That was the story. He was constantly during the trials spending a lot of time in Syria, and then we're bombing Syria. So,
when somebody's reputation is so slandered and they have enough money, I mean, he had to sell all the rights to the Beatles songs that he owned at the time. He
stole it back.
owned all of Apple Music to pay for his court costs. But like, I just wonder, I'm like I said, I mentioned Death Becomes Her. Like, I'm not saying the Egyptian potion, but everything beyond that, just like that, you could probably pay, not probably, definitely, you could pay to have yourself removed. We will do you're gone, okay? You can, it's like witness protection program, but just for rich people who decide that they've had enough of being the public spotlight. Joan Rivers, maybe. I don't know.
This bus is this is a local bus, I think, is the point. Only Thomas thinks that's funny. Thank you. I don't know. I mean, what was the thing recently though? There was a trial. Someone wants to take the executors of Michael Jackson's estate to trial over new molestation allegations. There's constantly another one happening, right? Michael Jackson.
2050. Did you hear about the new allegations on Michael Jackson? My God, this is really kind of damning.
They should just have like a public website that shows how much money is left to milk out of the estate, so you could just be like, oh, okay.
Dude, apparently that documentary, was it called Finding Neverland, or was that something? There was a HBO documentary that came out not that long ago, ultimately.
I think it might have been that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I probably dropped this before, but
they had to remove it.
Yeah, because the time frame that the guy whose whole production this was, who was making the claim, it turned out that the time frame that he gave, that this stuff happened at Neverland Ranch, the Neverland Ranch didn't exist yet. Like, construction hadn't even started yet. So like, it was like the guy didn't even do enough research before making the claim to even, like, he's like, wait, what?
Well, yeah, but this gets into like the McMartin preschool trial kind of stuff too, where it's like those tunnels couldn't have existed unless everyone's in on it.
No, it's completely different. This is a guy who lied and said that Michael Jackson took him to his property when he would have had time to know Michael Jackson, because it's plausible that he actually, it's plausible that he met Michael Jackson. So therefore, it's plausible if he met Michael Jackson, something bad happened. But if he couldn't have met Michael Jackson when this house existed, because it was before
in
or
mundane
after.
reality, yes, but once you start getting into like anal Aleister Crowley magic, then like
as soon as you just negate all logic, like anything is possible.
Michael Jackson's allegations are true. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, this one was interesting enough because
Leaving Neverland, not Finding Neverland. That was I think Finding Neverland was a weird movie with Christian Bale or someone. I don't know.
Finding Neverland, the fun part.
Johnny Depp as the writer of Peter Pan was what I think Finding Neverland was.
Right.
And there's the meme with the little boy holding his hand in the park, and he's explaining to him that the Democrats.
Does this connect to J.D. Salinger? Because of the last and best of the Peter Pans? Is that Michael Jackson? You know what I'm talking about? So the sequel to Catcher in the Rye, written by J.D. Salinger, specified by him, I think, not to be published until 2050. And I think it might be published. If so, I want to read it. But I think the publishing house was just like, we're going to do it anyway. The Cliff Notes are available. But it explains that paragraph that was read by Mark David Chapman in court. The only time he spoke through the entire court proceedings was to read this one paragraph. And that paragraph about the cliff with the rye, the kids running through the rye and they're running off a cliff, and he's trying to protect the children from killing themselves. In the sequel called The Last and Best of the Peter Pans, it's a relative of Holden Caulfield who gets the message that he's getting drafted to go to war, and the mother hides it, and then he finds it and he calls the mother out, like, why didn't you tell me? And she goes, I was protecting children from running off of a cliff. So we know that the cliff is an allegory for war, but it gets really interesting. So I've wondered that actually with like the Peter Pan syndrome, because that's what the book is named after, The Last and Best of the Peter Pans, the kids that never grow up. And you're like, the joke with with Peter Pan, or not joke, but the subliminal subtext, not so subliminal, if you look at the book itself, the play itself, is that they don't grow up because they get killed at a certain age. And if they survive, if they escape Peter, then they end up pirates. So the pirates are just lost boys who got away, who escaped Peter Pan before he'd kill them at a certain point. And so Peter Pan syndrome is when, you know, somebody doesn't psychologically grow up, which was Michael Jackson embraced that. He embraced it, and then it became suspect for people because they're like, oh, he's like a little kid. Oh, does he diddle kids? If you're like a kid, you know, you don't want to grow up. You want to, like, it carries with it the signs, but it also carries with it, did he just care about his growth was stunted, and he cares about the children and is trying to protect them. That's what Corey Feldman says. He liked a tweet I had the other day, and I responded to him about, like, because the idea that Michael Jackson, not only was he, according to Macaulay Culkin too, not only was he not a pederast, he was actually like in a position where he had his own trauma, and he wanted to protect the children from other people doing this to him, which is why those powers that be came after Michael to like, it's like a complete reversal of the narrative. And so it's like, what the hell is even going on here with like the public just going crazy? You know, wow, what a picture.
And there's like Holocaust victim remembering that the showers are gas chambers kind of thing with Michael Jackson, because you've got kids that were raised at such a young point and they were flown around the world, and then they're kind of seeing all the zeitgeist of anti-Michael behavior, and they're thinking, okay, well, this must have happened to me and I just didn't remember it properly and I blocked it out, which is kind of, you know, in and of itself seems pretty hard to believe. But they're saying, well, Michael Jackson flew these kids, trafficked them, brought them to like all kinds of countries around the world, because he would have invited them to concerts or invited their family to go see a show or paid for their plane ticket. Or let
if
them
you
be on his
genuinely, I think what we can extrapolate here, not even just about Michael, but just in general, is that when you go up against certain powers that be, and you're a threat to them, and you're trying to protect people that they could be potentially harming, it seems like it's just that there's a formula that the elites use to just, we're going to slander this person to no end and destroy them through, you know, if you're well known
and
you
that's
have that
what
big of a
happened to
platform.
Jeffrey Epstein. I get it now, Andreas.
You got it now. Yeah, it's possible, you know, to some degree, you know, but
he was Epstein was Michael Jackson. Right,
he was just trying to protect the children, and he was trying to provide them with grape soda and jerky and pizza too. It wasn't just,
I mean, if you heard it here first, you heard it here first. What can I say in terms of the misinformation campaign?
I think they're into getting their blood replaced, you know, like they're into what the Rolling Stones do, but also just like placenta.
I went to Switzerland, by the way, and you can totally do that there.
You can
totally do that.
Yeah, there is nothing more nutritious that a human being can eat, as far as I'm aware, other than placenta, because the amount of nutrients that are in the placenta for the infant. So people
if you
wanting
know
this
any
kind of
feminist
thing,
hippies,
there's a huge black market for placenta, for aborted fetuses, for schmuck, which is a new term that Thomas wasn't familiar with. That's Yiddish for foreskin. You know, that could be the jerky. I'm not saying it is.
These schleps,
but that to me makes more sense. It's kind of like in Utopia when he's like when
it makes sense that placenta would be jerky.
When John Cusack is like, here's the real deal with the vaccines. He's like, the vaccines aren't necessarily going to kill people. It's that the younger people who haven't gone through puberty yet, when they get the vaccine, they're going to be sterile when they get older. This is the most humane way to keep the population down. Frequently, like, this is why this seems like Occam's razor to me. Frequently, when you go into where these people are coming from, you'll be like, oh, that's really messed up. But you can at least see how they can rationalize it. There's some logic behind it. It's like, I always hated those Saw movies, because that's like the premise of it, where you're like, this sick fuck, and you're like, oh, but there's a reason why he's doing what he's doing. He's rationalizing it through this and that way. I would say like a less extreme version of that, where it's like, they're like, yeah, we want to be healthy. It's just going to get thrown away otherwise. Like, if we don't use it, what's going to happen to it? I mean, the value of these stem cells, my God, like, you know, what are you going to do? You just, you know, this could save lives here, you know, like you could elongate your life, like, and it would explain Nancy Pelosi, you know, it would explain a lot, you know, just that she's functioning at all.
Normalizing cannibalism, whatever it's happening, it does normalize cannibalism.
Do people, not you, Thomas, but do people swallow fluids, sexual fluids?
You do it one time, and all of a sudden, it's like the focus of every single conversation.
Right. So I'm just gonna say, like, I pissed off a vegan friend once who Andreas knows. He probably wouldn't want his name mentioned, but years ago I pissed off a vegan because I was like, do you go down on your girlfriend? You do? You do. You go down on her. Yeah, you're not a vegan, bro. I was like, that is an animal product. You don't think you're, and like, you got so mad. I was just joking. But then I like kind of ran with it.
Did he get mad just because it was a bad joke though?
Because he's a hardcore vegan.
Yeah.
And he identifies, it's his identity.
Yeah.
You identify as a vegan and you're like,
all you have
like you're not taking it serious that he's done this penance, that like this thing that he's
fighting crusade.
At the moment you say that, he's like, I want a burger, I want a burger, I want a burger. And all of a sudden someone makes fun of him for this thing that he's trying to like fight. I get it.
Well, the vegetarians will often tell me, they're like, if I ever like stop being a vegetarian, I'm going to go straight to cannibalism. And I think they're trying to tell me this as a joke, but subconsciously it says something, that they lack that self-control, and that there's some kind of level that you learn from what you're eating that is lost on someone who's too afraid to psychologically deal with the fact that they're genociding billions of microbes every time they eat a salad, right?
Isn't this like 6 million die of peanut allergies?
What's that?
6 million microbes every bite.
Kids die of peanut allergies because they don't have peanuts, right? Like it's like this self thing. Like if you give a kid,
well, it's certainly not because of vaccination, science, and medicine.
I was gonna say it, but then I was like, no, that's inappropriate.
It's definitely not because of that.
Right? It's not. There's no way.
There's no way. Good. I'm glad we're all in agreement.
It's the taking of the strong position thing that's attached to identity, and this phenomenon has created such a sunk cost fallacy. Like
a veganarian eats vegetarians. I'm a veganarian, but I'm a carnivorosaurus. No, that's a dinosaur. But I would eat things that eat meat because it seems like a good way to process. Like you want something that eats 6 or 7 things. It's gotten through all, it's gone through all the different.
If we could just tangent for a split second,
I would eat the old lady that swallowed the fly.
Our vegans would have to be pro-eugenics, it seems, because if you were like, here's an example, and I'm going to like Bambi. Bambi came out. Long story short, it caused like a small social change in which people like didn't want hunters to kill deer anymore, and they like enacted like new hunting laws and like all this. And what happens though is that deer don't necessarily have enough natural predators to keep them cold, and we have entered this like ecological cycle in which we have to cull the deer, otherwise
we have to kill 6 million deer a year now.
That sounds a little high, but so they end up having to kill all these deer every year. And as soon as they try to make this like these Bambi laws, I think they were called, all of a sudden we'll like, okay, we're not going to kill the deer, but now the deer are coming onto the land and they're eating our vegetables. So now the people that like didn't want to eat meat have even less vegetables to eat because you can't really prevent the deer from coming and eating your vegetables. So like on a long enough timeline, the deer would cause people to die, and then the people being dead would then cause the deer to be dead.
It's even worse than that, because also we've one of the best foods is like a grass, like a kind of grass that they like to eat. And so we've created these environments where there's nothing but grass. In the 50s, every American wanted to have a house after World War II with a front yard and a backyard with grass, front yard grass. And so deer have an unlimited food supply in suburban environments. So we've actually implemented this giant overpopulation problem where deer are pushing out any other species that could live in these areas. So it's part of this bigger, what you call this, like a domino effect. It's a domino effect. Like they've created a deer problem that actually is making it worse for other animals to exist in the wild. And Japan's got the biggest problem.
What is this person in the comments talking about when he says the event in Iran was called deer in the Israeli word for Chang to English, and Lana Del Rey put out a song, White Feathers Deer Hunter? I'm confused. I'm trying to follow that, but it's kind of
I like whatever they're trying to say.
I'm trying to figure that out. Yeah, I was like, this feels encoded. I don't know what's happening.
Well, yeah, please elaborate. I know that there was
deer think.
Mossad secrecy in Iran, how Israel reintroduced Persian fallow deer. An odyssey of espionage and revolutions led Israel to bring the once thriving biblical species back home. One of the most successful cases of reintroduction of a species extinct in the world. Okay. Israel has one of the world's 2 populations of Persian fallow deer, but it took a revolution, a clandestine Mossad mission as secret, and daring flight. So they snuck into Iran to steal this particular deer and bring it back so it could be raised in Israel. Okay.
Which sounds like a moon ritual, right? Because I think there's like some Artemis connections here, and this deer connection also is really interesting to me because I think Deer Island might be one of the ones related to Skull and Bones, and then also the Jekyll Island Hunt Club was originally the Jekyll Island Deer Hunt Club or something. And there's a similar story in which I can't remember, it was like the emperor or whatever, the guy that was running Italy at the time. He ends up bringing wild boar to Jekyll Island as like, hey, look, I'm going to stock this island for your hunt club. And they end up taking over the entire island until maybe like 30 or 40 years ago, they finally eradicated them. And now the deer have taken over again. So like now Jekyll Island is also a deer island factually.
You know, the gazelle is a symbol for Shekhinah, and sometimes representations look like deer, but yeah.
Well, we were bringing up in Japan that Japan has the same issue because of Bambi, but it's a smaller population, so it's more clear. Japan has an insane deer problem where there's just random wild deer everywhere. And so they've started to reintroduce the culture of eating deer because now people don't like to eat deer because of decades or generations even of thinking they shouldn't eat deer. And so they're just trying to sell deer meat, deer hot dogs, deer burger, slices of deer.
Does Japan have to worry about Lyme disease or no, because they don't have a Plum Island?
That's a great question. I assume that Lyme disease is just brought by agents everywhere, but you know, who's to say? It's obviously like the Zika virus in South America. So there's what do you say? Chlamydia, clamato.
There's like tick for tat, right?
Tit for tat. There it is.
Tick.
That could be it.
Yeah.
Tick for tat.
Yep.
I don't know. No, that's fair.
Are we talking about Bambi again? It feels like every so often the conversation comes back around to Bambi. Like it's
Bambification, because hypno-bambification is the thing, right? They're getting transgendering people on the internet. They're turning feminists into submissives with Bambification. So maybe there's something to Bambi was clearly a eco-fascist conspiracy early on. Disney was seeing what he could do after the White Wilderness with the lemmings. If he could convince people that Bambi, and every 5 years or something or 7 years to re-release every Saturnalia to re-release Bambi. I don't know.
Yeah, that's tough, man. It feels like there's like it feels like something's coming to a head right now. I mean, it always kind of feels that way, but like I was saying earlier, like speaking to the sunk cost fallacy, it feels like there's like been this investment in these particular, like this is the position we take in terms of lefty political thinking, like, and it looks like it's coming to a point that the reflection is so intense, the optics are so bad that if you look at like the State of the Union, like, okay, we know everybody, you don't like Trump, 100-year-old war veteran, like war hero, no one's gonna stand. The mother of the girl whose throat was slit on the subway is there, and no one's going to stand. No one's going to stand for any of these things except for the proposal to have no insider trading for Congress, and all these Congress people stand. And he's like, "I'm surprised to see any of you stand. Where's Pelosi or whatever?" It's just like, I'm just saying, I'm coming back to this point where I'm like, the optics are so bad when you look at like the treatment of women in Iran, and then you're like, there could be a regime change. Since this has been going on since 1979, and just
Kamala
like
Harris is going to lead Iran. That's the way it's going to end up.
I don't know what they're thinking. I say it's sunk cost, because it's like, at which point are you going to just like have a turn and be like, okay, well, at least just acknowledge that in this instance, maybe we were wrong. Like, is that so hard to do? Like, hands off Iran. Like, I don't know. Like, it sucks. Like, the whole thing is crazy, and it feels like, oh, are we going to go towards a 50-year potential war here because of what we're doing? I don't know. Would it have been worse had this not happened? Like in terms
I
of
think
nuclear
what it
capabilities?
is
Like I
that
don't know.
Israel replaced Ayatollah in the 80s and has been creating a negative a negative perception of Islam, violent radical Islam, to replace because originally Maimonides and Jews lived under a Muslim state in Spain, and we can see like in Spain during the Muslim
They
period,
coexisted, yeah.
they were extremely tolerant until the
Yeah.
Catholics, once the Christians took over, then they kill Jews and Muslims and different kinds of Christians. So there's something changing about the Islamification or the version of Islam that Iran has. And so now by Trump removing the fake Ayatollah, the Israel Mossad controlled Ayatollah.
Jesus.
Oh, they're bombing him, Andreas.
You can't say this stuff on television. I just don't know what to do.
Right. Andreas would rather get bombed at home. That's why he doesn't go to bars.
My God, man, that was real. All right, what about the health benefits of cannibalism, real quick?
Mantises that eat their mates to mice that eat their babies. So there must be some kind of benefit to it. And since, in the immortal words of the Bloodhound Gang, we ain't nothing but mammals, you'd expect human cannibalism to have its upsides too, even if the idea is a little nauseating. Obviously, there are social and moral factors to consider when it comes to eating people, but if you strip those away and just focus on the biology, there's some evidence to suggest that eating human flesh actually has some benefits. For better or worse, cannibalism is a part of our shared history. There's archaeological evidence that in some societies, human was a part of the original paleo diet, accounting for as much as 10% of the protein people ate. And human flesh might actually have more nutritional value than other kinds of meat. We have about the same number of calories as other animals our size, so you'd get the same amount of energy from eating a person as you would from eating a small deer. But just like Wagyu beef has much more fat and less protein than a ribeye, human flesh has its own unique profile of proteins, fats, and other nutrients. The more closely related your meal is to you, the more closely its nutrient profile will match your needs.
Wait. Question. Maybe this is bullshit, but I remember there being the thing around eating pork, the warning that when you eat pork is so similar to the human being that your stomach will start to digest itself. Is that baloney? Or is there
Whoa.
Well, so prion disease is the next section of this video. By the way, this video came out when I was researching cannibalism because of prion disease, because of Hillary Clinton in Haiti.
But you don't have to even worry about prion disease unless you eat brain. So if you don't eat brain, you can be a 100%.
Kuru? Is that what you're talking about?
Is kuru, right? All right, so let's get back to the video.
Which would make human meat the most nutritious choice. Spores are healthier.
Skip a little ahead here. Okay.
The name, starting around the 1920s, a disease called kuru started to spread among the foray. The name comes from the foray word for shaking, since tremors are one of the symptoms. The sick also walked strangely, slurred their speech, and were prone to emotional instability and bizarre, unprovoked laughing fits. The symptoms would get worse and worse and eventually become fatal. At the peak of the kuru outbreak, hundreds were dying every year. Researchers have since found that kuru is what's known as a prion disease, the same type as mad cow. Prions are proteins that are folded wrong, which wouldn't necessarily be a problem, except that they're hard for our bodies to break down. And when prions come in contact with properly folded versions of themselves, they make those proteins fold wrong too. Misfolded proteins accumulate in the brain, causing holes to form and destroying neurons until the person dies.
So if only there was someone on Shark Tank like working on a way that we could eat each other in a safer way, right?
Prion diseases aren't contagious. That is, unless you eat something with misfolded proteins in it. The kuru prions spread because until the 1950s, the foray practiced mortuary feasting, where they ate parts of their dead loved ones to honor them and mourn their past.
It's just a different culture, right?
The foray who survived the kuru epidemic had specific genetic changes that probably made them resistant to prion diseases. We found similar changes in genomes from around the globe, which suggests that prion diseases like kuru and the cannibalism that spreads them were common in our evolutionary history.
So what does this mean? It means that if you come from the elite who ate people for generations, eventually you probably evolutionarily adapted to not get prion disease. That you were probably healthy enough. People that couldn't eat each other fell by the wayside, and there probably are like 80% of the population that are just, plebs that pay taxes and they get eaten.
Is this like the future is like that's it's like that South Park where I think it's Kyle decides he's going to stop eating meat and he starts developing pussies all over his body and he's just turning into a giant pussy or whatever. Is it going to be like in the future, like if you don't join in just eating people, you're going to start it's going to be viewed the same way as that? Oh, you pussy, you won't eat people. Come on, we're trying to get by here. What are you doing?
It's the easiest way to tell if you come from royal blood or not is whether or not you get Crohn's disease when you eat a brain, right?
My favorite vision of the future is the is it Silent Runnings, where they're all making fun of the guy for trying to grow plants in space, and he's like, I don't know, man, like they're all eating like their little like pill like gelatinous cubes, and he's like, I don't know, I just would rather eat like some lettuce or like a fresh apple, and they're like, yeah, like the one that comes from the dirt. Like they're making fun of him because he eats food that comes out of the dirt.
Oh wait, are we talking Silent Running or Idiocracy?
So that happens in Silent Running. Same difference, but Silent Running.
Pretty much.
That
You mean
is
water
weird.
out of
They
the
are
toilet?
kind of similar, huh? In
Oh,
certain ways.
100% they're similar. That
I never
whole
noticed that.
scene. That's like my favorite scene in that entire movie because they're making fun of him. Like, why are you like we're in space, we're astronauts, we've been to school, we can do math, and you're sitting here playing in dirt. You want to grow a tree out of dirt. Why do you want to do that? We already have this gelatinous protein based, like multivitamin food reference.
Well, at least I think chocolate tastes like, right? It's like he's
right.
Somebody thinks we're talking about Cool Runnings. No, but Bruce Dern, Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Can you use AI to make Silent Runnings with Cool Runnings? Because like Jamaicans in space seems like a good idea.
Andreas, tell us the synchronistic significance, if any, for the robots in Silent Running being Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Oh man,
oh my god! Dude, just speaking of cannibalism, I have a very strong theory I've been building that Huey, Dewey, and Louie are basically there as like organ donors for Scrooge. Like that's the reason that they exist and why they're hanging around Scrooge so often. Like he has 3 backup, kidneys or livers or whatever he needs at any given point.
That sounds so true.
Technically, he's probably taking their blood for adrenochrome the whole time as well. I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
and he always sends them ahead.
Swim in money too. Like I don't understand. Like that seems painful. Like he dives into metal. Like it just I don't.
Because he's a badass.
Gold.
Like he's evolved. It's a goal. It's a goal. All right, to become like that.
Squad goals.
Episode 88. Yuppie Duck.
I think it's because they're trying to make the point that he's like in a world of domesticated. He's still a dragon. Because he still sleeps on the soft gold. Like he's still more dragon than he like in the Epic of Gilgamesh sense that Duckburg is filled with dragons that have devolved or domesticated themselves into birds, right? He's still more of a dragon than everybody else.
Are they the 3 ghosts? I'm trying to figure this out. So like, I don't know the timing of it because I remember Mickey's Christmas Carol, right? Like Mickey's Christmas Carol. And it's like Mickey is being Scrooge, right? Isn't Mickey play Scrooge? Is that correct? Is it Mickey?
No,
it's been a while.
Is it Donald? Scrooge plays Scrooge. Mickey plays
Scrooge McDuck is in Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah, and Mickey plays.
Oh, that's right.
He works for him and his little.
And then they're cutting up the bean and serving it. I haven't seen it since I was a kid, so excuse me. I'm trying to
mixing up like 3 Disney movies. So Mickey and the Beanstalk, they cut up.
No. They're sitting around in Mickey's Christmas Carol. I know this much that they're poor and they're cutting up a bean to share for Christmas.
That's Mickey and the Beanstalk, where Mickey, Goofy, and Donald all are poor, and Mickey sells the cow and comes back with a magic bean.
Okay, you know what? You'd know better than I would. You're the Disney guy, but that's not even where I was going with it. Where I'm going with it is,
I feel like Thomas was offended. He's like, "Hey, I fucking the Disney guy."
Is Scrooge
McDuck? I had that
comic
book, by the way.
In DuckTales, is Scrooge McDuck Scrooge because of Mickey's Christmas Carol?
No, Mickey's Christmas Carol was made decades later than this.
Really?
Yeah, Scrooge the Duck
he's based on Scrooge, obviously.
But it has to be. And Charles so this Dickens, is my question: is there some symbolism with Huey, Dewey, and Louie relating to being visited by the 3 ghosts? In regards to what you're saying, that they're organ donators.
It would have been cool if they made the 3 ghosts Huey, Dewey, and Louie, but they didn't. It's in the 80s they make that cartoon. I don't know if it's based on a comic.
I'm just saying, is there a synchronistic connection between Huey, Dewey, and Louie and the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future? I don't know, because the idea of getting, like, that's the whole thing, is that he's so greedy. Like, Uncle Scrooge is like, that's his vice, is that, endless greed. And like, the thing is like, is he just, I don't know, like, is he just, he's never really,
well, in the original, in the Barker comics, the Charles Barker comics, originally Scrooge is always using his cousin or his brother. Is it his cousin? You know, it's not that Donald Duck is his brother, right? But he's using and calling them his nephews because he's using the children of Dahlia Duck, whoever died, right? Because they're basically orphans that are related to him, and he's using them to go into in dangerous circumstances to try to bring him back more money.
And so their dad is Donald? Their dad is Donald.
No, Donald's another uncle. I don't remember if he's actually the brother of.
Or dude, are these kids even related? Are they adopted and they don't even know it?
Like, who are they? That they are organ donors. They literally exist just so Scrooge has a backup organ.
I feel like I'm ready to believe you, Thomas, because that seems. God damn it, Donnie! Why y'all gotta be so smart all the time?
You know that? What's the movie called? The not the beach, the island. The movie, The Island. I feel like that's
about Epstein's Island, right? With the
is that the Ewan McGregor movie?
It is the Ewan McGregor movie. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're triplets who were born from Mr. Duck and Della Duck, right? Like I was saying,
Mr. Duck. What is that? That's the most. Not even how many Mr. Ducks can there be? That's not even
Mr. Duck is somewhat of a mystery. He doesn't appear in the stories.
Yeah, because he's not freaking real. That's what the point is. It's just the most made up.
And meanwhile, Della Duck was trapped on the moon and lost her leg, right, in this horrible spacecraft accident, and she's been stuck on the moon for something like 10 years.
Isn't that missing leg like a Masonic thing? Is that
no, not just that. This is actually a cover story because if you've ever seen what happens to a single female duck in a pond with like 6 or 7 other male ducks.
Oh, the corkscrew.
That's what happened to Della Duck, but Disney can't really get into what Huey, Dewey, and Louie did to her. So it's like, oh, you know, it was a workplace.
You blame Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Really? You don't think it was like...
you don't think it was the 3 male ducks that are constantly going through puberty and trying to one-up each other?
No, I think it was, Scrooge, Donald, and the rich duck. What's it like the Vander duck? What's the rich duck cousin?
I don't know. I feel like Scrooge would just pay to have someone do it in front of him so he could watch it.
Damn it, Donnie.
Let's see here. The Duck family. I mean, we've done this before at some point, but let's see. Gladstone Gander, right? Gladstone Gander. I feel like he's the kind of duck that might have.
He's like a Prescott Bush, yeah.
He's a gambler,
He's about to go and sell Fanta in Germany.
I think that's George Martin right there, right? He's got the crest with the 3 beetles. What's happening?
But these, they're the Drake family. So the Drake is dragon. They're draconian ducks. They're the official dinosaurs because dinosaurs, the theropod dinosaur, it's what a bird is. And they're living in a world where most people have been domesticated. They've domesticated themselves even into being these, weaker, less predatorial beings. And out of this family, that's sort of an Epic of Gilgamesh-like family, they're still better than other people. So there's a social Darwinism there, and that other people have become weaker, which is why they are less capable of these episodic adventures. But Huey, Dewey, and Louie, they come from this adventurous, dangerous, predatorial family. So they're being trained, and it's been in Scrooge's favor. We're thinking of it that, he's willing to let them die and he's going to use their organs. And that's totally true. But that's also what he's training them to be like. Because he's giving them the advantage that other ducks don't have.
We need an AI meme of Darwin Duck. I think that
Darwin Duck. Darwin Duck. There's something there for sure.
There is something there. Yeah. Have you guys seen the Jake Kotza video about DuckTales? I know I've showed it to Andreas years ago. I feel like I was at your house, Andreas, and like whatever that was, 7 years ago or something. He does a really great analysis of DuckTales as it relates to Atlantis and a lot of the different references, but it's particularly like 9/11 predictive stuff, like the giant the box, the safe that goes through the 2 towers, and like it goes through like Swedish comics of DuckTales and all the different,
help me find that. We should revisit that. We could do like a reaction video where we watch that so that everyone can watch it with us, because that's an important story for sure. I don't know. I wanted to bring up just the point, which was that they found that prion disease is a lot rarer in cannibalistic environments, that cannibalism could actually protect people from catching dangerous diseases because it gets rid of some of the microbes that spread them. And that cannibalism might slow or stop the spreading of some diseases. So
again, all you do is just don't eat the brain, and all of this kuru and prion, like it's all fear porn. You can't get this if you don't eat the brain, and usually it's fairly rare because the people that eat the brain tend to be like special or elevated, unless it's in certain cultures in which eating the brain is supposed to be passing on knowledge, and then you feed it to the kids, so then the kids are eating grandma's brain, and then like the adults, they don't really put themselves at risk because they're not going to eat the brain anyways.
But they found in Papua New Guinea, elderly the tribe there who had survived the Kuru epidemic had genetic changes, evolved mutations that made them resistant to prion disease. So if you just keep doing it, if you stick with something, after a few generations, your noble family just gets good at eating people. Right.
Or hear me out. You just kidnap one of those people, splice their DNA, and make it so that your offspring have a genetic predisposition to survival more so than you. If I can eat a brain and survive, but you can't because you'll die, then technically I am superior and more fitted for survival.
And that's definitely not what Epstein was doing for the human race when he was trying to get blood.
Well, not the whole human race, just
reverse vaccines. Yeah, but his human race was going to be like, he was getting models from all these modeling agencies and giving his sperm donations to all of these different like he was going to have more kids than anybody. He was going to have hundreds of thousands of kids.
Or did have.
Probably did have at least at least tens of thousands of kids right now are Epstein's descendants, right? Usually from women that are above 6 feet tall. I'm assuming that's kind of his goal, was to spread his DNA. And maybe he didn't succeed as far as he would have, but he, in a lifetime. But we're talking about maybe hundreds of thousands of people around the world in different countries. So maybe they're all cannibals.
What's the deal with that? Is that just like narcissism taken to an insane degree that he wants his DNA in as many people as possible? He wants everyone to have weird penises where they have kind of an egg tip and they curve off to the side. Like he wanted everyone to have that because he was self-conscious about it. But if everybody had that, he wouldn't have to be self-conscious anymore. Is that what that's about?
Maybe.
I don't know.
They call it Rubenesque.
I think it's a selfish gene theory that Dawkins talked about. So he's probably read Charles Dawkins' book, The Selfish Gene, and believed that that's what the meaning of life is. So he's going to pursue accomplishing the meaning of life, right? Because the selfish gene is all about propagating the gene. The gene itself wants to propagate itself. So he's just, playing into nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that guy doesn't believe in Jesus. So how right can he be?
Is that what Billie Jean is about? Is it a play on the gene?
Billy's
because
genes?
It's not my daughter. It's like, why is she not his daughter? Because she's like a genetic experiment or something. Like, is there some other explanation? Has anyone analyzed Billie Jean to that level, or am I
Billie Jean? Because isn't it spelled Billie Jean? Like it's spelled like a genome?
Like Billy means goat or something, or it's related to the goat? Is that it's like a yeah, I don't know.
No, it is spelled like denim. It's Billy's denim. Okay.
No, it doesn't matter. It's phonetic. I knew that wasn't spelled the same way, but is that what it's pointing to? Like, 'cause that's a play on words. It's, I don't know. I never thought this before. I need to think about things before I go and say them live.
Was it Billy G? Like he's talking about Bill Gates, I thought.
Ooh.
Right?
That's the code. But it's not his daughter. Like, is that okay? Never mind. I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this. Hiding the name because Billy is really a guy child. Okay, he's saying Billie Jean, hiding the name because Billy is really a guy child. Okay, that's possible.
What do you mean, guy child?
I'm looking at somebody's comment here. He says he's saying Billie Jean, hiding the name because Billy is really. Oh, you're not asking me. You're asking the universe. I don't know. I don't know what they mean by that. If RGZ Mac wants to get back to us about that. Tom's trying to take shortcuts to cannibalism.
So no, I mean, I'm not trying to take shortcuts, and I'm not pro cannibalism, but I just want to be accurate. Like, it seems that if you're gonna dissuade someone away from cannibalism, it can't be based on the lie that you're gonna get Kuru from being a cannibal. It's very rare that you would get Kuru to begin with, and most people, I don't think, prefer to eat the brain. Like, even if you were gonna turn cannibal, 333, by the way, watchers. Even if you were turned cannibal, wouldn't you rather go for just like breast meat or thigh meat or just like a traditional selection that you would get if you were going after any other animal? Who's going directly to the deli and being like, let me get some of that brain right off the bat? They're already weird, right? You're already weird if you ask for that, no matter what animal it is.
Okay, Thomas, I have to say something to you. This is driving me freaking nuts. Okay, like there's a phenomenon. I don't know, for those of us who have played Tetris a lot in our lives, that if you're watching Tetris, it's like one of the most hypnotic things in the world, because
I know.
It's like, when we were playing a game. I mean, I beat whole levels on NES when I was a kid, or I shouldn't say that. I've thought that I've beat entire levels on NES because I'm removing the controller while my friend is playing, no matter what. It's just this impulsive thing. So when I see that in the background with Tetris, I'm immediately just like completely hypnotized by it. So like you've been distracting the hell out of me throughout this conversation, because I'm just like, oh, it's a Tetris. I'm just like, it just does a thing where I go into Tetris brain. I'm sorry, it's just
this was completely done by design too. Like I've got a bunch of other cool ones. I've got like a rain effect, and I've got like little expanding rings that can distract you.
Yeah,
or
it's
like
completely just distracting. I'm looking at it for half the goddamn conversation, just like hypnotized by it. So,
and then I've got like a checkerboard one, but
week too. And I installed Tetris on Arena's computer. Raphael's friend, she was on the astrology show, Raphael Naropa. We had her, computer, and she needed some games installed. We're giving her like PS3 emulators and everything else. But what she really wanted was Tetris. And I played Tetris probably for like 6-7 hours at least this week, which is kind of insane to do, I think. But someone asked, like, if you could play one game, if someone would pay you like millions of dollars to game, and you had to play the same game every day for 8 hours a day, like, and I was thinking, they're wanting you to say GTA or something. And I was like,
there's no chess for NES, right? There's no chess game for NES.
Oh, hell yeah, there are. There's more than just a few.
Is there really?
I think Chess Master was the big one, if I've got that right.
There's a Chess Master for NES. Okay, you're gonna have to help me out with that, Andreas, because I'm figuring out this. Andreas was kind enough to send me this really cool cartridge.
You have it there? Oh, that's cool.
and like, I can't figure out how to load the game, so I'm going to need your help with that. But there are some games already on it which I've played. But what a cool thing to be able to just like have all of these games at your disposal, so that I don't have to, just like do the complete old school one game at a time.
It's Chess Master and Battle Chess. Those were the big. I think Chess Master was like the big one, and then Battle Chess was like the kids one.
Oh wait, I didn't just load Vim's layer emulation layer where they apparently keep like games loaded. No, that isn't. We're not looking at Vim's layer right now, are we? With that, wait, what's this button here? Emulation layer? What is that all about? Wait, what's this? The vault? Every game? Oh no, this is probably you should never go to this website, because you might accidentally, you could. Oh man! So don't ever.
I literally think about this all the time. I thought about this like 2 days ago. Like, if I could just go back and tell my 6-year-old or 7-year-old self, like, one day you're gonna be able to own every single Nintendo and Genesis and Super Nintendo game.
Own is a very specific word.
You will have all of them.
There's a legal difference between owning and having your. You can have your cake, but can you own it too? I think is the thing.
Yep.
Well, I'm not driving. I'm traveling, so none of that applies to me.
Definitely don't download games off the internet.
Your urinal cake is cake. Like
you wouldn't download a game.
Would you download a urinal cake?
You wouldn't download an ideology. You wouldn't 3D print a revolution. Oh my god!
right. You went 3D print.
I wanted to find Vim Layer. I follow them because they were upset recently. I wasn't trying to tell you that buying isn't owning and piracy isn't stealing or anything like that. But Miriant is shutting down, and I don't know if you guys are aware, but this website Miriant, which has I think like 3 or 4 100 terabytes of games backed up for historical archival purposes, right?
Wink, wink.
Well, really though, because the thing is, I buy games. I have no problem buying games. I'm happy to buy games. But if you get to the point where you can't get access to the things you paid for anymore, or that it's been destroyed, or that, these companies don't make it available in the new ways that the technology's changing or something like that.
Like the Disney Vault, yeah.
Yeah, there's a big what's the new European, like, stop killing games? Is that the one? Stop killing games. I think that's the expression now, right? Stop killing games. Yeah, stopkillinggames.com. And they're saying that, like, online games particularly are in danger, because after they make as much money as they can off an online game, they shut down the service. They don't give it to the people to put on their own servers. And people that used to meet together and have friendships online, like, they can't play those games online anymore. So it's a pretty big problem. But with the rise of RAM prices, because AI is, making it expensive to keep RAM, and bandwidth is becoming harder to procure, Miriam is shutting down. I hate that they're blaming AI for this, but that's basically what's happening. So they're saying,
they're like, some idiot out there needs like a freaking David Koresh reggae song, so now we have to take the game away.
Dude, we all needed that David Koresh reggae song. Are you kidding me? I've listened to that song like every day for the last month. It makes me so happy. But yeah, Miriam will shut down on March 31st. And so they're saying if you need anything like Eggman or MAME game, particularly like arcade games or something like that, like, they're no longer going to be hosted here.
I want that egg game from I Think You Should Leave, that Tim Robinson is playing, the egg thing where you know what I mean? Where you buy the eggs and you don't know what I'm talking about. You guys, I Think You Should Leave, people? Okay, never mind. Forget it.
I haven't seen the egg game. That's what's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait. But we need to talk about the last couple things here. Let me go back to, where is it? Did I close it? Yeah, free Bandcamp listening party is happening pretty much in 20 minutes. Is that right? Hopefully.
Yeah, that looks right. Yeah.
Okay,
totally.
So if you guys want, you're gonna go to music.nehedar, and the button is right here. Let me just.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, the music starts at 6. So she had a concern that if she was to start to just have the time, like, this is when it is, she's concerned that people would miss the beginning of it. So it's technically in what is it, 50 minutes? So thereabouts.
Oh, okay. Sweet. Yeah. So that's not so bad.
The actual music starts at that point. So yeah.
So Nehedar is the way to remember.
Nehedar.
Nehedar. But yeah, just like in case you accidentally were going to use an A in the middle, don't do that. It's
right. Yeah, don't make that mistake.
Because I've made that mistake in my life. So yeah, just make sure you guys are tuned in. We're all going to be listening to this, and we'll chat in the audience together, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So just wanted to
we're doing a silent disco.
Yeah, it should be good. Dude, they do that here in Europe. You'll be on a train, there'll be like 30 kids with earplugs in, they're all listening to, Hitler's Nuremberg speech or something. I don't know if that's what they're listening to. Can't be sure. They probably aren't. Okay, so then paranoidamerican.com. What are you doing? You still have a few of these? I got
a few. I'm trying to move the rest of them out so I can get the new version 2s underway later on this year. But yeah, I think there's like 12.
I'm surprised that these haven't completely sold out. I know you had like 20 and so they're down to 12, and that's last week. But like the fact that you have any left means you people are just really missing the boat here. This is your chance. The 12 of you that are buying this is your chance, really, because it's not going to be this cheap again. It's like RAM shortage.
Around period. Like, I'm literally not making any more of those occult calendars ever again.
Hey, Thomas, what's happening with the Golden Bough thing? Is it that you started reading the Golden Bough and now you're just like reevaluating everything?
No, because it would be what it is that I think it's like pretty much done. But now I need to start getting the rest of the pipeline out. So I'm actually working actively right now on the Chaos Twins campaign, so that whenever the Chaos Twins campaign for Sam Tripoli ends, I can fold over anyone that was like really hype and really liked what we delivered into the next one, which is going to be the Satanic Panic. And then I've got the Titanic, and then I'm going to do the Golden Bough. So because the Golden Bough, I think, is a little bit more niche, whereas I can get a lot of people in on Satanic Panic, I can get a lot in on Titanic. And then it's like, well, hell, I already got these other two. Why not get this Golden Bough thing? I don't know what Golden Bough is, but I'm interested because he's first. So I'm trying to like snowball it in to the point when
No,
we actually do. Don't Google that, by the way, snowballing something in. But like once we actually get to that point, then
Full Metal Jacket will come up. But yeah.
Like it's good. It's done. I'm happy. We don't have to go through any more.
Wait, that is the weird thing.
Ew, why did I look that up? No, I'm just kidding.
No, Snowball, Private Snowball, right? There's Private Joker and there's Private Snowball in Full Metal Jacket, but then in Eyes Wide Shut, it's explained that a snowball is a mixture of cocaine and opium, heroin and cocaine at the same time, which is what we see in The Wizard of Oz when she's in the poppy field, and then the white powder comes down and she wakes up from the
I
poppy.
thought that was called
dream.
a speedball.
Yeah, I thought
I thought they say snowball in Eyes Wide Shut. It's called a snowball.
Cocaine, heroin, powerball, speedball, over and under, a polydrug mixture. Snow.
I think they
don't
had
even see that as a thing.
They had, it's only in Eyes Wide Shut, I think. I mean, it's like they say, oh, they call it this. I'm pretty sure.
Flash it really fast like that so that everyone gets. That feels good. Sorry, that's more fun than the actual.
Is that what it is? Can we fact check this? You don't have your? Are we not?
I just
gallons
did.
of water for this talk.
I didn't fire it up for this one.
All right, I'll go to ChatGPT and type in, is there a drug mixture called a snowball?
In Eyes Wide Shut specifically, because that's where it says, yes, a snowball is a specific drug combination. It says heroin and coke. Yeah, that's what they say in it, though. But yeah, no, that's the thing.
Okay. All right.
So that, but the thing is that it's snow that comes down from the opium field, the opioids. So she's in the poppy field, she passes out from the opioid, and then she gets the snow to wake up. So I think that's another. Don't you want to go where the rainbow ends? There's so many references to the Wizard of Oz throughout that. Like Lynch does that, Kubrick does that. All these people want to like. Ari Aster did that with Midsommar. Like, you know.
Is Eyes Wide Shut and, you know, Vanilla Sky, like, because Vanilla Sky was made after a movie called Open Your Eyes. Is that the reason, basically, the names?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And if you listen to the audio commentary from Tom Cruise with, who was it, Cameron Crowe, for Vanilla Sky, like, there's so much there that he's because this is the next project. So he went from this to this, and then 9/11 happens while they're shooting it, and there's this whole discussion: are we even going to show the two? Like the whole movie ends with the falling man, but he's waking up out of a dream. Like Vanilla Sky is, it's based on a movie called Open Your Eyes that came out before it with Cruz. Penelope Cruz is in, and also that he left Nicole Kidman. And then ended up with Penelope Cruz, who he was starred with Nicole Kidman in Eyes Wide Shut. The very next movie that he does, he ends up with the woman that he was in that movie with. Like, it's like in a future life when we're both cats. It's so freaking weird. Yeah.
Plus the whole thing with Scientology and Jason Lee, like the fact that Sophia was in Scientology, and so Jason Lee.
You can go on and on and on with like, would you kindly remove your mask? Like what it happens in Vanilla Sky with the freaking mask. Like it's ridiculous. Like there's just so much there.
Yeah, and definitely don't use YTS.L. Oh man, what is going on right now? Don't do that. All right. So anyway, David, I'll just move that window away over here so I can finish what I was not doing. Anyway, David Plate is an amazing and handsome man who's very funny, and he makes a bunch of different sync films. You can find him at MP Ultrasound 723. Let's look at the highlights to see some of the media while we click on the syncbook.com. which will take you to his recently restored masterpieces. He's got 4K and 1080p versions of his videos coming.
I don't have any 4K videos up there, but a lot of them are 1080p now. That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah,
we'll start with that. But you know what? I'll just say it now because you never know what could happen. This crazy guy always updating his synchromistic work, and this is the Nihidar and Men sync, which will come in to play later when you join us for the Bandcamp listening party, which happens after this episode. So yeah, join us, and thank you for being here, because you know what? You matter. You know, I mean, you make me feel like I matter.
You're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh
darn it, people like you. Yeah. All right. Well, anything else? Yeah, we're good.
That's kind of a loaded one, because what's that guy's name? Who is it? Stuart Saves His Family, like that actor and his whole story and politics and everything. Al Franken, right? Because that's it. Like that it becomes kind of meta, like his character that he portrays, and then like what happened to him in real life. Like it's just
What happened to him? What do you mean? Like what? You mean like what? What he? What,
I mean, what happened
he did
to-
that happened to other people? Like I mean, apparently he was that's him right now.
right, but
grabbing
you
a
know
service
this
woman.
whole story behind this. Like it's very inappropriate, but she's not asleep. Like she's not strapped in. Like the whole thing is bogus, but he is. I mean, for the most part, as far as like
yeah,
it was-
David, but
was a
it's
joke.
the joke. Him joking about violence is violence.
Right. That's the thing now. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll leave it alone. Yeah, sorry. I don't need to.
Wait,
God.
so then Al Franken, because the mainstream media said he's the bad guy, that means Al Franken's the good guy, like Jeffrey Epstein?